Welcome to today's episode of How Women Inspire. My guest today is Melissa Houston. She's a CPA, a Forbes contributor, an entrepreneur, the author of Cash Confident. Her list of accolades goes on and on. She has been in the financial world and working to empower women and build profitable businesses and create generational wealth for 25 years, if I can say that. She helps you, me, women, master money and business strategies and guide them towards financial freedom and success. Does that sound good to everybody listening? I am right on board with this, Melissa. So get ready to be inspired and dive in on this incredible journey.
Yes, I am looking forward to this conversation.
Okay, so I would love to actually just hear from you. If you were going to have an intimate dinner party with three trailblazing women from history, who's on your guest list? And what are you going to ask them?
Such a good question. The three women I would love to have dinner with is Madam C.J. Walker.
Yes.
Now, these ladies aren't in history yet, but I'm sure they will be.
In
Natalie
my
Maines.
history, I know very well who she is.
Yeah,
First
no,
Black
the ones
woman to
I'm
make
going to
$1 million
mention.
or more, right?
Yeah, first woman entrepreneur to make $1 million or more. The next would be Natalie Maines. She's the lead singer of the Chicks.
Nice.
And Michelle Obama, because she is just an inspirational
What a beautiful lineup.
woman. Yes. I
Yes.
think that having these three women for dinner is a no BS conversation about all the stuff, the fire that they had to walk through, because each of them had their own unique challenges. And I would talk to them about the challenges that they faced, how they got through that fire, and what advice they would give to the younger selves.
I love that. I love that. And I would say my perspective on that is every one of them is going to turn it around and say, here's the opportunity, because these women are so positive. It's so glass half full. They've overcome such extraordinary challenges, but I think that you can only do that when you have a North Star of where you're reaching. And oh my God, what a great group of women. So I would love to really kind of set the tone for the next couple minutes and dive into your experience first as an entrepreneur, because I think so many of the people listening are really excited to hear sort of how did that build and grow?
Yeah, so I became an accountant pretty much by accident. It was
Uh-huh.
more like, it was my second career. My first was in social work, and I knew that that wasn't going. You too?
Same. Yeah.
Oh, that's
Social
awesome.
work. Yep.
Okay, so I knew that wasn't going to be a viable career option, high burnout rate. And I didn't know what to do. So, for a lack of a better option, I decided accounting would be great. So, working as an accountant, I was working with small business owners. And what I was noticing was the advice that they were getting from us. They would come in, get their taxes done, walk away with a bunch of advice, but you could see clearly they had no idea what we were talking about, right? And I'm like, that gap needs to be narrowed. They need to understand the importance of financial management as a business owner. You can have your accountant, you can have your bookkeepers, you have all the people to help you. But if you don't have the financial literacy skills of being a business owner, it's not going to help you in your day-to-day operations. So I knew early on that that's exactly what I was going to do when I decided to go out on my own. So about 5 years ago, I made the leap. I decided to go out on my own. And of course, COVID hit. It was a challenge right from the get-go, but it's been the best decision I've ever made, and I created She Means Profit out of it.
So, I know that you're leaning into the numbers, right? That only, less than 2% of all funding goes to companies founded by women from venture firms, at
Mhm.
least. And so few women founders of all types, whatever your financial backing is, reach $1 million. So you're in it. You talk to these entrepreneurs all the time. What do you think are the key factors that contribute to the percentage?
Well,
Uh,
it's funny because, yes, I'm definitely in it for the numbers, but the number one thing I have noticed with the clients that I've worked with is the mindset. The
okay.
money mindset
Yeah.
issues are phenomenal. Money's emotional,
Yeah.
right? And that's where my social service skills come into play as well. I've had many women and men cry in my office, just being frustrated, feeling like they're defining themselves by their financial success, and really unpacking that baggage, that
Yeah.
those money stories, those things that are holding us back in our business, because everybody has a money story that you're carrying with you, and it's going to your money mindset can make or break your business.
Yeah.
So that is definitely one of the Probably the biggest surprises that I've had as an entrepreneur is seeing how much your mindset affects how you operate your
So
business.
how do you how do you help someone get to that mindset shift, that positive opportunity focus?
Helping them identify the stories that are holding them back.
Okay.
One of the most common things I hear from women in my field is that when I ask them, where do you want to take your business? How much money do you want to make?
Yeah,
I mean, we all know that money doesn't make us happy, but money sure provides us a lot of opportunity, right?
certainly does.
And, we always feel better with money in our bank account than struggling to pay bills and what have you. So the number one story I get is, "Well, I can't make more money than what I need. That's greedy." And this is something that I really try to help
Isn't
women.
that interesting that that's that where a lot of us goes, especially if you became a social worker, you're like, "I need to give away my money and help the world." Like, that's
Yes,
where I came from in that sort of Catholic girl, messaging, and it also it does set up almost a money's bad kind of dichotomy that I think or a lot of people somehow have shame around talking about it, and I think that's such a big problem for women.
it is, but the thing is, studies show that women are more likely, once we have money, we are reinvesting it into our communities. We're doing that philanthropy work. We are supporting other
People
women-owned
paying them
businesses.
well, yeah, the whole thing.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So if
yeah,
you make more money in your business,
mhm,
you're able to contribute more.
yeah.
And that's the message that I find so important that women need to hear.
So
Because
they
money
tackle their self-limiting beliefs, that message they got about money. They reset it with a whole new narrative, and they really sort of think through, like, what does it look like to have this bigger goal, and how am I gonna get there? But none of that can happen if you actually don't have the marketing and sales resources and, action. So you can have the
exactly.
best product in the world, if you're not selling it, nobody knows it. So how do
Exactly.
you see women entrepreneurs in this mix? Do they know how to build and market and do sales?
No.
Okay.
And that is such a good
All
observation and
right.
such
Well,
a good
tell me
question,
why and
right?
what they need to know.
A lot of the times they come to me thinking that they have a money problem, and I can tell within 30 seconds of looking at their financial statement, this is not a money problem, this is a marketing problem, right? And not understanding how much they need to sell in order to break even in their business, plus make a profit in their business. So essentially, I find women are opening businesses and they're like, okay, I'm open for business. Whatever revenue comes my way is going to be what it is. And that's going to be the way it is.
Yeah.
But you have to plan. You have to have your marketing in place. You have to have your sales strategies in place and really understand what's going on in your books, in your finances, so that you can make informed financial decisions on your business. We don't open businesses so that we can go broke. We open businesses because we want to make money. So having that strategy is important. So if you're lacking that strategy, you have no direction.
Yeah. All right. Everybody's listening heard that. So if you're a small business owner, and even even if you're in a business or investing in a business, this is critical to really understand. And I think we think our baby's so beautiful that everyone should see it, and that's not enough.
It's not
But we as
enough.
women, we're taught not to brag. We're taught not to take up a lot of airtime. We're supposed to be behind the scenes. Those are cultural narratives that are not good. And so I think that all what you're talking about is like our cultural narratives, and how we have to undo them in every part of this conversation. Really, I'm not asking for permission anymore. I'm not asking for a seat at the table. My friends, this is the first generation of us. We have a huge opportunity. We have power and influence and wealth. And we can start building the tables where we get the prime seats. Today, we want to invite you to join us as investors in venture. I know no one's asked you to do it before. It might be something that seems scary or foreign, but I promise you it's not that different than investing in a mutual fund where your retirement funds are. I want you to lean in and just learn a little bit more. How about making a commitment that in the next 12 months, you can give yourself 12 months to figure it out and to take a step? I want to invite you to be part of the new table of power and influence and wealth. You're invited. I want to sit at the table with you because we're going to make big change. We're going to make the world we've been dreaming of. Let's talk about financial management itself. And I've heard you say that, talking about that being the key pillar for their ultimate success. Do you
Yeah.
have what is the advice you give to women entrepreneurs on their financial strategy and how they're really thinking about managing?
The number one piece of advice I give is to plan. So going back to not having that sales strategy and not understanding your break even points and such, you need to have a financial plan in place. And what that means is you are planning out for at least a year ahead. And you're setting these goals and objectives for your business. So I often say a goal without a plan is just a wish. If you don't put it down on paper and make it actionable, you're never going to achieve your goals, right? So the financial plan that I help my clients with is breaking down month by month. What is it that it's going to take to get you to $1 million? If it's not
Right.
this year, it's next year, but making sure that these are smart, achievable, realistic, specific goals that
But
they're
what gets
creating.
in the way, though, of people coming up with these really solid plans? I mean, we all know we have to have plans, but what gets in the way of somebody really setting one that gets them to the $1 million plus?
It's not understanding how to do it, right?
Oh,
Accountants
okay.
know how to do it. Accountants have been doing it in back office for forever.
Do you think people literally just don't even know how to put a spreadsheet together that shows their financial plan?
Exactly,
Wow.
exactly. I mean,
Oh,
there's a common saying in the accounting world, which, you may not have heard, but the big thing is you wanna know what's going on in a business, go talk to the accountant.
yeah.
That person is
Yeah.
going to tell you everything that's going on in the
Okay.
business
All right.
because everything hits the financial statements. Your financial statements are telling a story. So when you understand what's going on in your business, it's essentially like looking under the hood of a car. It sounds intimidating at first, but once you start getting to understand the moving parts, it's not so bad. It's the same thing with your finances.
Do you
So you
think people
don't
are just they're worried to look too deep? They look at the surface and the cash in the bank and that's kind
Yes.
of it? All right.
And a lot of the times, especially with the clients that I've worked with, there's a lot of anxiety and fear around looking at the numbers, right? Because that's not what we're taught as business owners.
Yeah.
I mean, they talk about sales strategies, they talk about marketing, they talk about leadership. There's so many different topics that you can talk about in entrepreneurship, but how often are people talking about the finances? It's
Okay.
not often.
Yeah.
So people don't understand that that's really probably one of the first skills that they should learn if they want to make a lot of money because they're going to have a really good understanding of their business.
Yeah. All right. So but I actually find that it's hard to find a good CPA. So we've
Yes.
got,
I hear that
tens of
often.
thousands of people listening to this. What would you say to somebody that can't work with you because they got to find a CPA that isn't in their neighborhood and licensed where they are? What is the best way to find and evaluate a good CPA that can really help you with all of this?
Yeah, and there's a lot of confusion in the CPA world because people believe, okay, the CPA is going to do my taxes, right? And absolutely, CPAs are there to do your taxes. But there's a different kind of CPA who is there to be like a fractional CFO, financial support person who's going to help you plan and strategize for growth in your business, and it's going to help you manage your business. So if you're looking for somebody to do your taxes, that's great. You usually take your books, you bring them to the tax accountant, and they do your taxes, and it's not like a super interactive relationship. But when you work with a CPA who's there to help you as a CFO of your business, whether it's part time or full time, whatever stage you're at in your business, they're there to help you strategize. So when you're looking for that kind of person to work with, you got to make sure that, first of all, they have the credentials, secondly, they have the experience, and thirdly, that you can communicate with them because CPAs are sadly known to be not the best communicators. I think that's changing a lot now, but you have to make sure that you're going to have a partnership relationship with this person because this person is essentially going to help you steer the boat, so to speak, right?
Yeah.
So you want to make sure that you're being treated professionally and that there's no condescension, there's that they're speaking at your level, not their level. That's another tricky one. And just making sure that you've got a good working relationship with this person.
Yeah.
Ask for referrals.
Fantastic. So we're going to find a CPA. We're going to create a great plan. We're going to work on our self limiting beliefs. Are there books or other podcasts or things that you would recommend for people so that they can get some support as they're working through this?
Absolutely.
Oh,
Now, I'm gonna have to do a self plug here because I wrote Cash Confidence specifically
all right.
for business owners
Yeah.
who need to learn about managing their finances,
Yeah.
right? So I'm a firm believer in getting that financial literacy built up.
Right.
Second thing I would say is get some book on sales.
Yeah.
Sales is going to be one of the most valuable skills you can have in your business. And for so many reasons, women hesitate in the sales area. So
Well,
building,
I think so many reasons is all cultural. I'm just gonna say
yes.
kind of everything we're talking about, what women do that's different than men, it's just cultural. So you learned the cultural lessons well. So we have so much shame around the fact that we're not doing the sales, for example. Well, understanding why the culture set you up that it is inelegant and delicate to do sales is
Mhm.
part of the thing. And so one of the things that we do at How Women Lead Our Network is we have a credo, and we literally you have to commit to 4 things, and one of them is saying yes to helping each other. Literally deal making, which is actually something that a lot of women's organizations are like, "We don't do pitches, we don't do deal making here." And it's like, "What, are you kidding?" So some friends of mine I know, they have deal making groups that they create in their communities where it's like 20 people in all different kinds of businesses. Let's help each other and do deal making. And so if you need a safe space to practice your sales, I actually think that's a great example of something to do so that you're not, it is very hard when you have a cultural belief and you've learned it well to sit in your house, read a book, and get out and just like, okay,
Oh,
now I'm going to go pitch
absolutely.
100 people and get turned down by 99. Like,
Yeah.
that takes a lot. It takes a lot. And I think, frankly, understanding I have to pitch 100 times to get this number of yeses, depending on what you're pitching, I think it's just so important because myself, too, it's like, oh my God, I just wasted my time. This person clearly wasn't going to do whatever I'm asking them to do. It's really demoralizing. And so having a reframe for you, like, hey, I'm on the hunt to win. Like, I've talked to, I've had people that are like, you turn it into a game and you don't take it personally and you read the cues as quickly as you can and get off the phone if it's obvious there's not going to be any there.
Yeah, and I love that you have that group to support other women and help
Yeah.
through that because
Yeah.
practice really does make perfect.
And if you've set it up with whatever the group is, like, okay, we're all committing, we're gonna do this. Then it's a safe place to practice it and actually start doing it with and for each other. So,
Yeah.
is there anything else we didn't talk about that you think as a woman business owners I need to do to get to $1,000,000?
Yes, I mean, it's such a loaded conversation, right? Because there's so many different things, but really having that mindset is key. But I mean, there's so many things that work against women as well. And these are things that definitely need change, right? Because we've got the lowest dismal women getting funded through VC funding, right? It's less than
Less than
3%.
2%. Yeah.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. We're facing challenges of not getting loans approved. There's just gender discrimination everywhere.
There.
So,
There.
the more prepared you can be, not just financially, but really understand your business and where you want to take it and have those clear objectives and really share your founder story if you're looking for funding, the more you're going to increase your chances.
Yeah. You know what? One of the things that's interesting is there's studies at Harvard and other places that look at the questions you get asked from a venture capitalist when you're a female versus a male.
Mhm.
Men are asked, "How big can this get?" They call them promotion questions.
Yeah.
And the women are asked risk management questions. So there's cultural reasons for this. Same reason why men are hired and promoted for their potential and women are hired and promoted for what they've done. And therefore, we don't apply for jobs where we don't have 100% of the qualifications because literally we learned the cultural lesson. But this is what I say to you. When somebody asks the prevention question, you answer the promotion response. That's like PR training 101. Regardless of what they ask you, you answer what you want to say. And so,
I love that.
literally pivoting the conversation so you're answering in the way you want. And if they won't tolerate that, they're probably not the right kind of investor for you. So, we're almost out of time. And I want to just say to everyone who's listening, there are cultural changes we need to make. There are cultural structures that are barriers for women founders. But women have 52% of the wealth. Women
Yes.
are the primary breadwinners in 45% of heterosexual households. That means we are actually decision making in companies about enterprise partnerships, about what clients we're going to bring in. We have huge power, wealth, and influence today, unlike what we've ever had before. And so getting together with other women, making a commitment, having an agreement about how you're going to be together, and literally turning those cultural narratives and barriers on their head is more essential today than ever before because you are not to blame for these challenges, including the ones that you've learned those narratives and that's how you're showing up, but it's time to evolve. the culture wasn't good for you, and now you're grown-ups, you're all in the position to be able to evolve from whatever that narrative was. Come to a retreat weekend at How Women Lead, read Cash Confident, reset your beliefs about who you are and what's possible in the world, and set your goals and your financial plans. This has been a fantastic conversation, Melissa. How can people find you and how can they get Cash Confident?
Yeah, so Cash Confident is sold on Amazon and pretty much anywhere you can buy your books. And I can be reached on LinkedIn is where I'm most active at Melissa Houston CPA. And you can check out shemeansprofit.com.
Thank you so much. And I'll just remind everyone who's listening, you're part of the How Women Lead Network if you commit to the credo. We ask you to 1, be fierce advocates for each other. 2, say yes to helping each other. 3, reinforce her voice when she speaks up. And 4, be unabashedly visible yourself. Melissa, thank you for being unabashedly visible and for reinforcing the voice and helping so many women entrepreneurs.
Thank you so much.